both tied to the same system, right? So, end of the day, even if I get gunned down in the hood, the state is responsible. So that is why we're here. This is the 1-year anniversary of, and I don't even, anniversary seems like a horrible word to use when somebody has been ripped away from you, like when somebody's greatness has been stolen, cut short. Anniversary does not seem like the right word, but this is the 1-year mark.
This is a remembrance of Sandra Bland in St. Louis, Missouri.
To me, because
we're here as a part of Netroots Nation 2016.
Sandra had all of the things that you should have that won't get you killed. Okay? Sandra had education, Sandra had degrees, Sandra had a good job. Sandra had everything that you have that you say, oh, but if black people would have just died.
St. Louis, Missouri.
So stop saying that. Okay? Don't say that. Because it doesn't matter. And the sooner we acknowledge that, the sooner we can actually get to work affecting some change. So, Sandra, like I said, this one affects me because, like we say this all the time, like, that's us. Like, if you would have pulled me over and told me to put my cigarette out in my car for what? Like, are you writing a ticket or not? Like, our interaction is limited to that. That's scary. When I think about the amount of times I am pulled over and written tickets, when I think about the amount of times that we have been arrested for protesting, understanding that every time there is a possibility that we don't walk out of that cell on the other side. That's problematic, right? Like even down to her facial expressions. The last picture I posted on my Instagram, I made that face all day long, okay? That was me. So when we say I am Sandra Bland, it's not because it's cool, it's because that very thing could happen to me. So Sandra's life mattered, right? That's not anything that we have to question. And the life of everyone matters, whether it be state-sanctioned violence, whether it be a bullet from the gun of the police or a bullet from the gun that someone, the powers that be, enabled this person to even have this gun. So in 2016, there have been 24 women already. Like, what's today? July, what's the date? I don't even know what day it is. 13th? July 13th, half of the year, there have been 24 women killed by police. 11, so 24 women totality, all races. 11, so nearly half of those women were black. Now this is that we know of, right? Because the feds still don't have their stuff together. This is the database that The Guardian created that is basically us uploading what this is. So that we know of, 11 black women have been killed out of 24 this year by the police. Like, that number is not okay. We also recently have had a serious violent streak in St. Louis. And so with 188 plus homicides, I wonder, like, why they constantly have time to harass us. That's weird. But we have had a violent streak in which 13 women this year have been killed by community violence. Like, that's not okay. Like, you can't be conscious, you can't claim to be woke, you can't claim to be about your community if you are disrespecting, not protecting, not loving on black women, period, okay? And also, like, so the system does this on purpose. Like, we don't say black women's names that have been killed by police enough. That's by design, right? So while we're over here shouting my brother's name, which I'm going to do until I am no longer here, they are silently exterminating women. So when we put this together, you can call it what it is, which is genocide. So if you loudly kill the men and quietly kill the women, then who's reproducing? So men, open your mouth when something happens to me. You go in the street and bang the same way I bang for you when something happens to me. You are not excluded if your melanin count is low. Sirs, you're not excluded, okay? I appreciate y'all being here. Rika's gonna come up and tell y'all about Kim King. So I'm gonna give it to her. I love y'all.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. Kimberly Random King was killed. She was 21 years old. The reason I bring her up on today for Sandra Bland's 1-year anniversary is a lot of people didn't hear about Kim King. She was killed in Page Jail, which is St. Louis County. It's a municipality in St. Louis. She got into a fight outside, just like a normal fight with her friend. The police were called, and she was arrested and held on traffic warrants. And within like 30 minutes, she was found in her jail cell dead. This reminds me so much of Kim King and myself because she was a mother and she was young, just like I am. And I mean, she was just out there having fun with her friends, about to go pick her kids up, and she never made it. So I wanted to uplift her name. Kimberly Randall King is her name. She was killed September 24th, 2014 in Page Jail, St. Louis County jail cell.
Also, Page Jail has 13 cameras that we've never seen any video from. Like, everybody like, we don't know what happened.
And they also claimed it a suicide, but like I said, like her family's not pushing and nobody knows the answer. So we're still with the question, what happened to Kim King, what happened to Sandra Bland? Now Chris, this is an amazing woman, you have to know her. Come over here, Chris.
What's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, so I am Christian Blackman. So actually, things like this really moves me because in 2012, I apologize for those who know about Invisible No More, but I'm thinking a lot of y'all don't. So in 2012, I started this project called Invisible No More, and it's speaking to the plight of black women. So issues that impact women, a number of issues. But two things in particularly like struck me to get me started with this. So there was a sister by the name of Phoenix Colden. Some of you may have heard her name. She's been missing she went missing in, I think about 2012, yeah. So she went missing, left her crib. She was unsuspecting, left her home, said bye to her parents, said she'll be back shortly. She ended up being, her car ended up being found on East St. Louis with the door open, car running. They don't know where Phoenix is. Phoenix is still missing today. So I heard about her story through her mother. Her mother was actually on the news talking about the lack of coverage of her daughter going missing. So I thought about, when I turn on Nancy Grace, she talks about plenty of women that go missing. But a lot of times they don't look like me. They don't look like Phoenix. And not that these women shouldn't be talked about, but like, where are the sisters? So I seen that, and actually about 3 to 6 months prior to that, the Today Show was having a special about how when black men, women, and children go missing, the lack of coverage is received when they go missing. So that's that. There was another story that I heard simultaneously really with that story, and that was about Anna Brown. Anna Brown was a homeless sister. She actually went to St. Mary's Hospital complaining about leg cramps. They checked her out, said there was nothing wrong with her, released her, and she refused to leave because she was in pain. So they arrested her. She ended up dying shortly after in Richmond Heights jail. She had blood clots that passed from her legs to her lungs. So it was those two stories that I heard that moved me into wanting to do more. People that know me know I like to talk. I talk, we be like, man, this is messed up, this is crazy, but like, what can I do? I know it's not going to change the entire world, but I felt like this was God placing this on my spirit and my heart. This is my offering. So what are we going to do about it? So Invisible No More basically is speaking to the plight of women, from when women go missing, to when women are killed by police, to how women show up when they are abused, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever the issue is. It's a gumbo pot full of issues. And I address this through the arts. So through poetry, through art, through lecture, that's what Invisible No More is. So that started in 2012. So I've been, and I'm not saying, I've been doing it. It ain't about that. What I'm saying is that this is something that I saw that needed to be addressed in 2012. And now we are in 2016. And with this amazing movement going on, we still are finding that women's names aren't getting lifted. But let's not talk about trans women, okay? Let's not talk about how they really ain't talked about, because nobody gives a fuck about them, right? And as I'm standing here as a black lesbian, I had to have conversations around like, it ain't no, Invisible No More isn't that, either or type shit. It's like, it's this and this, right? Yeah. I stand with my brothers, trust me. I have a 12-year-old godson, the same age as Tamir Rice, who could very well be dead right now, right? So like, that's the real thing. It's not an either or type thing. It's a this and this needs to be addressed. This needs to be talked about. This needs to be lifted, because I promise you, whenever we out here, you gonna see the women. Me and Tef just talked about this yesterday. It's nothing but women. Women stand up. Women gonna be here. Women birthed the nation. So we're going to be present. So when things like this happen to us, it needs to be addressed. And it's another story that always just sticks with me. How many people know who Anniversary Stanley Jones is? By show of hands. And I could get y'all for just a second, just to Google her. Anniversary Stanley Jones. Please, if y'all don't mind, I know some of y'all recording. I just want y'all to see the picture of this 7-year-old. A 7-year-old that was asleep in her home. The police raided her home, shot her, and killed her. Guess what happened to the police? Not a damn thing happened to the police, right? This is a 7-year-old. We talk about not just our adults, not just our men and women are getting cut dead, our children. Let's talk about that. Our youth, our babies are getting killed. 7 years old.
In the bed with Big Mama. Ain't no safer place than in the bed with Big Mama.
So some of y'all didn't pull it up. So I got her picture. This is Ayana, 7 years old, sleep at home. Police busted in, shot up the place and killed her. This little baby is no longer with us. This happened in 2010. She was from Detroit. If y'all want to kind of look up that story, please look it up. So like, I really don't like talking. If I'm gonna surprise y'all,
Y'all wait,
don't.
y'all. Could y'all tell?
But,
Could y'all tell she don't like
but
talking?
no, for real, because we gotta lift our sisters. We gotta lift our girls. They getting murdered and slaughtered. We getting murdered and slaughtered the same way. And to add on something to that, we are getting raped. We are getting violated. A lot of time when these sisters are going to prison, they're getting violated and then killed. So not only have you taken my body, you have taken my soul through murder. Right? I'm not trying to be, but like that's real. We need to talk about the transparency of that. Thank y'all.
Deanna Mason. Say her name.
Deanna Mason.
Say her name.
Deanna Mason.
Say her name.
Deanna Mason.
My name is Chernobiko, and I was born in Ohio, the Buckeye State. It's one of the epicenters of violence for folks like us when it comes to police brutality. Many people know the names of Tamir Rice in Cleveland and John Crawford in Dayton. They were the boys who were playing with the toy guns and were murdered by Ohio cops. But not many people know the name of Tanisha Anderson. She was a black woman who struggled with mental illness, and in her time of crisis, in her time of need, she was murdered by the police instead of helped. So for all the people that don't know Tanisha Anderson's name, even less people know the names of CeCe Dove, and Betty Nicole Kidd Sturgis, and Brittany, and Deanna Mason, because they were black trans women. And for however long, we have to fight to include the names of Sandra Bland, and Ayanna Stanley Jones, and Rakia Boyd. We have to fight doubly hard to include black trans women because black trans lives matter too. I came here to let you know today that all black lives matter. So when I say black lives, you say matter. Black lives 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 matter. I don't know if I believe that y'all really think black lives matter.
Maybe you should ask them again.
I think they can get louder than
They
that.
probably, I mean, it's a lot of people out here.
If you really believe black lives matter, wouldn't you say it loud?
I would say it really loud. I would
Say
say
it
loud
loud.
enough to make the security come back over here.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter! The last time I was here in St. Louis was August 2014 in the aftermath of the murder of Mike Brown. I came all the way from Brooklyn, New York to stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter here in Ferguson, in St. Louis. But 2 years later, Joshua Williams is still sitting in prison for believing that Black Lives Matter. And he's not scheduled to get out until 2023. So it's real cute that y'all can come to Netroots and we can have this vigil. But if you really believe that Black Lives Matter, you're going to have to get loud about it. If you really believe that Black Lives Matter, you're going to have to break some rules. If you really believe that Black Lives Matter, you're going to have to say her name. No, really, say her name. Say her name. Say her name. I'm going to leave you with this. Assata Shakur. She was a freedom fighter who taught us how to fight. And we're going to fight all day and night until we get it right. So Assata Shakur has a quote, and we're going to say it 3 times. We're going to say it. If you just repeat after me, it's just a little manifestation. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other.
We must love each other and protect each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Right now.
Gotta do better than that. Make some more noise.
For real, like y'all don't understand that. I'm surrounded by people that make
So my name's Kayla Reed. I was born here in St. Louis. I currently work for the Organization for Black Struggle. I'm just very happy that Hands Up United is keeping us together with making sure that we're centering black women who have been killed by the state. And so there are a couple women that I want to lift up. One being Brandy Hill. Brandy Hill was killed almost 2 months ago in St. Louis, not too far from where we stand. She was 21 and she had a child, a young child, and she was driving down Washington Avenue, which is a business district that the city prioritizes over everything because it's all about property in St. Louis. And she was killed. And in response to her death, our mayor didn't say Black Lives Matter and we need to do something about gun violence in our community. Instead of saying that, he said we're going to crack down on the homeless. And most of the homeless people in St. Louis look like me. There are a lot of women with their children sleeping on the street because St. Louis chooses to criminalize them instead of giving them further assistance to move out of the parks, right? So they're right up the street, you can go past. There are 2 cop cars, I promise you. 2 cop cars, I promise you, that have been told by our chief of police to stay there for 16 hours and drive the homeless out. Because Brandy Hill's life didn't matter to Francis Slay. Brandy Hill's life didn't matter to Sam Johnson. What matters to him is these rich white folks who live in the upper levels of these skyscrapers, who don't want to see the ugly truth that America does not value black lives. So in response to our hurt and our trauma, they hurt and traumatize us more. And I'm tired of that shit. And it's gonna take all of us to stand in solidarity with the black women who are still here, fighting for their families, fighting for survival. Shelter should be guaranteed. Food should be guaranteed. It shouldn't be things that you have to ask people for. It should be guaranteed. Brandy should have been able to make it to her destination. But this city does not care about black lives. This city cares about commerce and money. And the rich white people who say, I don't want to see that. So for 2 years, we have been getting our asses whooped. That is real life, and I am tired, right? So Netroots last year chose to come here to stand in solidarity. So I'm going to tell you now, the quickest way to piss me off is to come pat me on the back about my pain, but not stand next to me while I fight. I'm going to say it again. That's the quickest way to piss us off, is to come take pictures of us and say we stand here with Ferguson and St. Louis, but you don't want to lift up our local demands. So while you are here, we do have a couple of demands. We want Sam Dotson fucking fired. Because for too long, he has said black lives did not matter. When we challenge him to say it, he refuses, and all he does is further put police in our communities and put us at risk for death. Police don't solve crimes, they commit crimes. And we deserve better. And we ask that you come here this weekend and stand with us while we fight for better. I appreciate y'all.
I didn't hear you. What did you just say? I couldn't hear you. So we are going to start with this young man right here. And if you have a sign, we're going to go in a circle. We're going to go around. If you have a sign, please step out so that we can see your beautiful face. And be loud and read your sign, please. We're going to take it around until we're done. Drake.
To corner truth. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down, these women together ought to be able to turn it right again.
You're here.
Black woman, beautiful, powerful, resilient, female of African descent, with skin kissed by the sun.
You're here.
Remember her.
Tanya Martin, 33 years old, fatally shot in the home she was visiting in Wellston on May 26th of this year.
Wellston is a St. Louis County municipality. That's here.
The empowerment of black women constitutes the empowerment of our entire community.
Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Rhonda Sweat, 40 years old, murdered by Sumner County, Tennessee from her getting evicted. Remember her.
Kayla Everhart, 21 years old, found shot to death in a North Street parking lot on May 24th of this year.
There is a kind of strength that is almost frightening in black women. It's as if a steel rod runs right through the head, down to the feet. Quote by Maya Angelou.
Remember her, Jocelyn Peters, an
found shot to death in her central West End apartment. She was 7 months pregnant.
Rest in peace, Jocelyn.
Kimberly Randall King, 21 years old, found dead in Peachdale Jail in St. Louis after being held on traffic warrants in September 2014. India Beatty, 25 years old, was murdered by Norfolk, Virginia police because she didn't comply. March 19th, 2016.
Keisha Redding, 23 years old, killed by a hit and run from a police chase in St. Louis. February 26, 2016, remember her.
Struggle is a never-ending process. Freedom is never really won. Earn it and win it in every generation. Coretta Scott King.
Armstrong, 20.
Can't hear you.
Marisha Armstrong, 26 years old, killed by Orange County deputy, May 5th, 2016. Remember her.
Keisha Arone, 35 years old, killed by Dayton, Ohio police for a call about a domestic abuse. April 17th of this year. Remember her.
Brandy Hill, 21 years old, was killed in a robbery in downtown St. Louis. May 22nd, 2016. Remember her.
Nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who are oppressing them. Assata Shakur.
Remember her.
Remember her, July 2nd, 2016, less than 10 days ago, or just over 10 days ago. Versa Johnson, 65 years old, killed in drive-by in North St. Louis City.
Remember her, March 30th, 2016. Denise Fairchild, 50 years old, murdered by Atkin, Minnesota police from a call about her threatening to harm herself.
Eunice Kane, 60 years old, was killed by her son in North St. Louis City. Please remember her.
Remember her. Sharonda Jones, 31 years old, found inside home with gunshot wounds in West St. Louis City, May 27, 2016. Remember her.
Janet Wilson, 31 years old, killed by Dearborn, Michigan police during a traffic stop, January 27th, 2016. Remember her.
I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. Angela Davis.
Melissa Ventura, 24 years old, domestic call, allegedly had a knife, killed by Arizona police on July 5th, 2016. Remember her.
Melissa is Latina.
Shala Ridgway, 32 years old, killed by Syracuse police, refused to drop allegedly a weapon. Remember her.
Indiana, anti-black, anti-female, and all forms of discrimination are equivalent to the same thing, anti-humanism.
Yep.
February 3rd, 2016, Lakeisha Morris, 36 years old, found with a gunshot wound to the head in North St. Louis City. Remember her.
She is clothed in strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of failing in the future. Quote by a black woman.
I want to be remembered as someone who used herself and anything she could touch to work for justice and freedom. I want to be remembered as one who tried. Dorothy Height.
Jessica Williams,
29 years old, murdered by San Francisco police, May 19, 2016. Remember her. Remember her. Keisha Michelle Michael, 31 years old, murdered by the Inglewood, California police for allegedly not having a gun. 2/21/16. Remember her.
The black woman is the most unprotected, unloved woman on earth. She is the only flower on earth that grows unwatered. Full of blue.
Here, here.
January 10, 16, Janiyah McMillan, 16 years old, detained in Hardin County, Kentucky juvenile and was put in a martial arts restraint. Later on, she was found dead. Remember her.
I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they would have only knew they were slaves.
Yes.
Mother Harriet Tubman.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So we have Tanika here, who is his family, who is Hands Up United, and she is also an SG Row, which means she is the soror of Sandra Bland, and also Jocelyn, who we read about, who was killed in her home with her 7-month-old unborn. So y'all, give her a second, but she's got something to say.
I ain't gonna be up here long. I don't really like talk real. It's something going on, and I know this is all propaganda. This is okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's something going on. It's propaganda, in my opinion, where society wants to make you believe that those who fight in the Black Lives Matter movement don't care about those who are killed in the street. My heart goes out to anybody who dies as a result of homicide. It hurts regardless. It hurts that my sorority sister, I didn't even know Sandra Bland, but she's not just my sorority sister, she's my sister. Like everybody else here, you're my sister. So it's gonna hurt if you perish out here in the street. And it hurts that she perished and they just tried to drag her name through the mud like she deserved her own death. We gotta stop that shit. Stop making people feel like they deserve their own death when they assert their rights. Sandra knew her rights. She knew her rights. And she shouldn't have had to die because she knew her rights. Nobody should have to die because they know their rights.
Here, here.
And Jocelyn, who you all read about, Jocelyn Peters, who was also my sorority, but she wasn't just my sorority, my friend. And I had just talked to her 2 to 3 days before she was killed. She had asked me to do something for a personal paperwork for a baby shower. And Jocelyn would be like, Peaches, if you don't stop turning up and man, you know, strengthening up, you know. Jocelyn was there for me when I helped organize the rally for Sandra Bland last July. Like, she was a silent freedom fighter. You didn't know much about her, but you came at her with some BS, she was gonna check you and check you real nice. You didn't have to cuss you out. Y'all cussed, but Jocelyn didn't have to. And so she didn't die at the hands of, you know, police brutality, but at the end of the day, she still perished. She died at the hands of the state. She died at the hands of the state. And it hurts. So just because we out here fighting against police brutality and all this other racist bullshit, that don't mean we don't care when people die at the hands of the state, die in the streets. We care about Black lives, period. Period. So my message to you, I'm not gonna be up here much longer. When you say Black Lives Matter, that ain't no damn chant. Mean that shit. You know what I'm saying? Mean it. You know, mean it. And yes, pray for our city, but when you get through praying, go out there and do something.
Here.
Do something.
Yeah.
Act on your prayer and do something. You know, Black lives, they don't just matter, they're precious, just like everybody else's lives. And what is it gonna take for this damn country to recognize this? So when you hear people say Black Lives Matter, make sure they mean this. Make sure you mean it. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. Because this movement affects everybody. I don't care if you white, black, Native American, or wanna be black. I don't care what you are. This movement affects you. And if you think it don't, keep watching these Black lives perish in the streets. It's gonna get real out here. So if Black lives really matter to you, mean that from your soul, from your heart, and do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, show and prove time. We're about to march to Brandy's Memorial. So we're gonna head down 8th. When we get to Washington, we're gonna make a left and we're gonna go up about 2 or 3 blocks and we're gonna stop and we're gonna let Brandy know that we love her. We're gonna light some candles. Any camera that you pass, you're allowed to stop and do this too. On the way. Also, you'll pass a myriad of cameras. You'll probably pass some license plate readers. And we're gonna probably be loud. If you are not comfortable